Hello everyone, welcome into our final project. I'm Hannah.
I'm Caeleigh.
I'm Gabriel.
And today we'll be talking about the domestication theory.
Through the lens of social media.
Domestication theory, for a quick reminder, is the idea that technology has disrupted our daily routines in some way and in essence trained us. A good way to think about it is when you see a person walking a dog, does the person walk that dog of their own free will, or has the dog trained the person to walk it? So let's get into it.
Social media is designed to create flashy and easily digestible content that encourages users to continue engaging with the platform. Similarly, news tends to be more consumable when it's entertaining or almost sensationalized to draw attention. This overlap of the two raises the question, how does the rise of social media impact news consumption and the spread of information? This is explored in a study, Mind the Gap, Journalism on Social Media and News Consumption Among Young Audiences. Looking at the domestication theory, social media has expedited the stages of technological integration and can now influence social norms by rapidly spreading information. This study aimed to analyze the use that young people make of social media to get information by surveying around 1,500 participants aged 18 to 25 from Spain, France, and the UK on their use of various social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch, for example. They found that over 93% of these respondents use social media to access news, and around a third of them agreed that they follow the news media and journalists for regular information and believe that this allowed access to diverse information through these means. In fact, they stated that they prefer to follow profiles of interest on social media instead of getting information from traditional journalistic media. They also recognize that they consume news without specifically looking for it on these platforms, which kind of decreased their reliance on traditional media. These results showcase how social media might be becoming the primary source of information for these newer generations. This does come with risks like misinformation, for example. These participants acknowledged their awareness of possible misinformation, but still admitted to sharing news online based only on headlines, often without reading the full story. It's pretty common to see an exaggerated headline on somewhere like Instagram or Twitter and not immediately check the details. This can lead to the formation of misled opinions and down various possibly dangerous pipelines. This means social media has untold power to influence opinions, especially with the primary audiences being relatively young and impressionable. Joining popular social media platforms doesn't simply mean entertainment or connection anymore, but can be a significant factor in forming someone's beliefs. While this new form of news consumption through social media can be helpful for accessibility, it's important to stay critical of what is consumed and fact-check information, since social media is no longer just a tool for communication, it's becoming central to how many stay informed.
Alright, so for my section, I wanted to look at the relationship between social media and then specifically how that kind of pulls consumer behavior, right? So we've all been scrolling through Instagram and those ads seem to be really, really targeted. It's happened to me a million times where I'm talking about something and the next day I'm getting an Instagram ad for it, or I really find myself clicking on the Instagram ads because they just are so targeted. Ari really knows that I am in a shopping mood sometimes. But I was curious as to if there was some actual numbers to support that social media and influencers really do drive consumer behavior. I am an ISC major, which is really close to marketing, so looking at that from that lens is really interesting to me. And I found a lot of numbers on it, both in scholarly journal articles and just basic articles. So looking at an article in Forbes, there's a lot of tie between influencers. So you see maybe your favorite influencer, maybe Alex Earle, just promotes that she's using a new foundation and you want to look like Alex Earle, or you really think her content is funny, or whatever it is, because Alex Earle used that product, you also want to use that product, right? And I thought maybe this was just kind of a phenomenon, one or two people, but this study in Forbes, or the study that Forbes pulls from, I should say, found that 74% of consumers have bought a product because an influencer recommended it. And that study is pulled from Business Wire. It was done earlier this year, March of 2024. And Business Wire is obviously a business company based in San Francisco. So that's where they got this research from. That methodology, I should say, is looking at people in the US ages 18 and over. And the results were published, like I said, March of 2024. The study was actually completed in November of 23. The survey responses were representative of the population, so things like race, gender, those were accounted for, I should say. So these results can be generalized to the population and can be kind of turned back on us, looking at college students, and then just in general, looking at how what we see on media can really drive what we do. I actually can't say that I've ever really bought something based on one single influencer, but that doesn't mean it's not true. And I think subconsciously we have a lot of these tendencies to do as other people do. I think that's kind of human nature. It's innate. It's how we think we survive in the long run. I mean, you hear the age-old saying, monkey see, monkey do. So just like literally we are copying what other people do. And I think that has really turned into something now in this social media age. And even looking at kind of tying into Hannah's article on news and where people are getting their news, where people are getting their information, the same thing kind of applies when even looking at news versus a product. You are getting your information about a product based on what you're seeing on social media. So just as people are hearing about current events on social media, we're hearing about products on social media. And so everything's kind of tied into it, but social media has really changed the way that we as consumers buy and base our buying decisions off of. And I think going forward, that's something that marketers can really capitalize on, maybe doing less TV advertising and more media advertising, putting more money into brand deals with these influencers is a good way to look at it moving forward.
Hi everyone, today we'll be discussing a fascinating and important topic: how social media affects body image, as explored in a mixed methods systematic review by Kim Rosenfeld and colleagues. Well, this research focuses on how social media engagement, especially exposure to image-related content, impacts body satisfaction and eating behaviors especially in young adults aged 18 to 30. It connects deeply with our project's theme of domestication theory as we examine how technology like social media integrates into daily life and influences societal norms. Well, so this study systematically reviewed 30 studies involving 11,000 participants, and it found that social media promotes social comparison where users evaluate themselves against peers and influencers who portray an ideal body image. And this comparison is a significant driver of body dissatisfaction. For instance, seeing carefully curated, edited, and filtered images of thin bodies, fitness routines, or diets create unrealistic expectations. And many participants reported increased anxiety about their own appearance, leading to behaviors like calorie restriction, binge eating, or adopting extreme diets. The researchers identified 5 critical themes in their findings, the first being social media encourages comparison. Users naturally compare themselves to others they perceive as more attractive or fit, which heightens feelings of inadequacy. Second, body image awareness. Social media users are highly aware of its impact on their self-esteem and eating habits, but often feel unable to disengage. Third, self-objectification. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook amplify self-surveillance. Users habitually monitor their appearance from third-person perspective, focusing on how they look rather than how they feel. The fourth, external validation. Positive feedback such as likes, comments, drives users to modify their appearance or behaviors to match societal beauty standards. 5. Content-driven influence. So exposure to image-based content influences food choices. For example, posts about clean eating or extreme fitness routines often lead to unhealthy dieting practices. Well, this ties directly into domestication theory, which examines how technology became embedded into everyday life. Social media is no longer a tool, it's part of our daily routines. Scrolling through platforms, posting selfies, and engaging with fitness or beauty influencers have normalized the pressure to conform to idealized body standards, and this behavior shaped not only individual self-perception, but also broader cultural norms about beauty and health. The study emphasizes the need for health professionals and policymakers to consider the negative impacts of social media when designing campaigns. It also raises the question, how can we regulate social media content to protect vulnerable groups like young adults while maintaining freedom of expression? So, in conclusion, social media has deeply influenced how we see ourselves and how we act. While it can inspire, it also perpetuates harmful beauty standards and unhealthy behaviors. And by understanding these impacts, we can better advocate for a healthier relationship with technology. And that brings us back to the project focus. How do we domesticate technology in a way that uplifts and supports society?
All right, so through each of our articles, we've seen how social media can disrupt consumer behavior, change body image, mentality, and change the way people get their news. So for our final research question that we came up with, we felt that one question that kind of encompassed all of that was, to what extent do push notifications and algorithms influence users' daily priorities and routines? So I'm going to turn it over to Hannah, and she's going to discuss a little bit about our methods.
So we thought the best way to do this would be to interview a selection of college students around age 18 to 25 on a set of 3 different questions. Our first question is, what are your notifications and pickup averages? And then secondly, we would lead with, do you use TikTok? And then based off of if they did, we would ask, do you feel your algorithm works to really entertain you and keep you on the app longer? And then finally, we'd ask if you ever experience phantom notifications.
Yeah, so for the sake of this project, we decided to put this to proof.
All right, so to kick off our interview portion, who am I here with?
Mohammed.
Jasmine Howard. My name is Caeleigh.
Okay, so can I ask you, what are your notifications and pickups?
How can I see that?
Yeah, so we're gonna go all the way to the bottom and just this number and then that number.
Okay.
My notifications for yesterday, I had 585 notifications, and then pickups, I had 214.
My daily average for pickups is 108, and the most prominent one is Instagram, and I have about 150 notifications average.
Pickups is 77, and notifications is 70.
Right, so second, do you use TikTok?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I don't.
You don't? Okay. Well, then I guess this question actually won't apply to you.
I've used it in the past before, though.
You have? Okay.
So do you feel your algorithm works to really entertains you and keeps you in the app longer?
Yes.
Yes, it definitely does.
I would say so, yeah. I think it's interesting to see how our For You page is curated. I think it definitely, I swipe pretty quickly, and I think that if I search something up on like the search bar, I'll down my For You page start to see certain content that I searched up to kind of keep me on the app longer.
Okay. And then for our third question, do you ever experience phantom notifications where you feel like your phone buzzes and it didn't actually buzz?
Yes, I do.
Occasionally.
I constantly feel like my phone is buzzing and it's actually not.
I usually ignore it, though.
I don't think so. I kind of am bad about like ignoring my notifications.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right. Quick shout out to our lovely classmates who agreed to be interviewed. Even though that was a really small sample size, you can already start to see a trend. So Caeleigh and Mohammed both had lower notification numbers and lower pickups, and they both said that they barely experienced phantom notifications, or Caeleigh in her case said she doesn't experience them at all, whereas Jasmine had the most notifications by a good amount, and she said she experiences phantom notifications all the time. So it kind of shows that these notifications have kind of trained us to be looking for them. And then all three of them agreed that TikTok algorithms do keep us on the app longer. So an algorithm is obviously something that our activity trains, but in turn it starts to train us to scroll longer. So some really interesting, and I think if we did that study on a larger scale, we would see those patterns really develop further.
I think through this project we were able to learn a lot about our own social media usage and that of others.
Yeah, I think that we went through the actual theories, and then we could prove them by asking questions. So we had that through the lenses of social media, how that theory is actually implemented in our daily day, like routines.
This project is a really great way to finish off the semester and really put into work everything we've learned about technology and the human experience. Before we pressed record, we were all just talking about how this has been our favorite class this semester. So thank you, Dr. Martin. All right, for one last time signing off, I'm Caeleigh.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Gabriel.
Thanks, guys. Bye.